LeBron, you've said throughout your career, it's all about adjustments in the postseason. What did you guys do after Game 1 to get this result in Game 2?
We understood that it was a playoff game. I think that's the difference.
So much that you have to put into it on both ends. Can you take me through that play, though? You have a turnover, and Anthony Edwards has the ball at midcourt. Where did you see you were going to be able to step in there, get the ball, and finish?
Just trying to make a play. That was a big possession right there. They had numbers. I didn't think he saw me, in the rear view, so I was able to jump the pass lane and also make the layup.
You guys put a lot into it defensively, LeBron. What was the key on that end, and where did it come from the collective as a unit?
I mean, that's what it's going to take. They play hard as hell. We got to play hard as hell. They play with a lot of intensity. We got to match their intensity. So, it's going to be like this all series.
What are you starting to learn about Luka in a playoff context as a teammate as you guys grow in that way?
Nothing. I've watched it for 7 years, so nothing at all. Luka is Luka.
Last one for you. Key as you head now fly to Minnesota for Game 3 and 4.
Hostile environment, but we got to come in with the same mindset as we had tonight. Understanding it's a playoff game, no possessions we can take off. We got to play with intensity, energy, and effort. If you're not dog-ass tired after this game, after any of these games, then you didn't give it all you had. So that's what it's about.
LeBron, you told us after Game 1 that sometimes it takes a game or half a game to kind of recognize what you're in a playoff series. When did you know tonight that the team was going to be having the requisite response?
We knew yesterday at practice. We had a tough practice yesterday, and we went at it yesterday, and one of the best practices we've had all year. We kind of knew coming out of that what type of disposition we had to play with. We watched film before practice. It wasn't good. Game 1 was not good at all. We're all competitors, and so that's what it took.
I want to go through all of our beats first, and then I'll get to everybody else. Okay,
the offensive organization was something that JJ talked about a lot, quite a bit actually, coming out of Game 1, even yesterday. How would you rate how you guys performed in that area tonight?
We could still be better offensively. I thought at times we were very sharp, but at times we weren't. And I think we could do a better job on the offensive end, but we're going to continue to get better, continue to watch the film, see ways we can kind of break down the defense and continue to get good looks. I thought we had some great looks tonight. I know a lot of my shots in the fourth quarter were great looks that just didn't go. And if we can continue to get great looks like that, I think we believe in our percentages. But we got to continue to work the habits. We got to continue to work the habits, and continue to shoot the ball with confidence.
LeBron, they only had 6 fast break points today after having 25 in Game 1. What was the biggest difference there in terms of transition?
Sprinting the hell back. Giving up fast break points, obviously sometimes it's nothing you can do about it. If a long rebound happens, you got 4 guys on the baseline, long rebound happens, they're able to sprint out and get it. But, most of the time with fast break points, it's about energy and effort. And I thought our attention to detail and our attention to the effort, that side of the floor was very in tune with that. Like I said, Game 1, giving up 25 fast break points on our home floor was not an ingredient for winning.
Hey, Bron, on Mind the Game pod, you talked about how you live for this time of the year, calling it a drug. Obviously, you always talk about how important it is to stay even-keeled. You've taken teams to the finals 10 times, won 4 championships. After going down by as much as 27 points in Game 1, what was your message to the guys?
I think you just said it. Just staying even-keeled. It doesn't matter if you lose by 100 or you lose by 1. I mean, they both hurt. You can't sleep. So it's about how you stay even-keeled and then how you make the adjustments going into Game 2, or Game 3, whatever the case may be. So, I thought, we looked at what we didn't do so well, which was a lot of things in Game 1. We took that to heart. We hold each other accountable. We make the adjustments, and we had a better outing tonight. And now we need to be even better on Friday. Going into Minnesota. So that's what the playoffs is all about. But you got to be able to stay even-keeled no matter what's going on.
Hey, LeBron. JJ said he hasn't done it a lot this season, maybe about 5 times or so, but Minnesota cut it to 11. He called that timeout. And he was very upset. He said he wanted you all to tap into your sense of urgency. How much was that needed in that moment, and what did you think of the response?
I thought we responded, well, just from the timeout. We know JJ is going to spaz out from time to time. That's JJ, and so it's at this point for us is obviously we need to listen to the message and not the way how he's delivered it. And for me, it's my high school coach my freshman year was kind of the same way. He would spaz out on us, and you have to be able to understand about it's not how he's saying it, it's about what he's saying. And I thought we responded after that.
JJ said he's only cursed a few times this season, so I don't know what to tell you. Talk about the love and how you get excited and up for every playoff after all this time. Is there a point with the body, though, where it's just sort of you got to tell yourself, okay, we're doing this again?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I've up there with them. I don't know if I'm 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, like in most minutes in playoff history and the amount of games and the amount of playoff series. And I know I'm number 1 in minutes. I think there are 2 in regular season minutes or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I'm 40 years old. I'm in year 22. I've been in the postseason well over half of my career. So I listen to the body, but it's about taking care of what I can take care of, controlling what I can control, and that's about getting sleep and, getting, the right food in me and, and keeping my mind sharp. Obviously, the body will do what the body do, but, as long as the mind is in tune, and I believe that, you could take it even further. So I'm just trying to give my teammates what I got, offensively, but more importantly, defensively. Going down there, helping rebounding, crashing, being physical, also using my mind to be able to call out a lot of things that teams are doing, so we can be ahead of a lot of plays as well, so we're not surprised by a lot of things. So I'm just super happy, and I don't take it for granted to just be able to play this game still. Like I said, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to do it, so just try to take advantage of every moment you get.
You've talked about how belief is so important when it comes to this kind of thing, and obviously you yourself can get that belief from many years of experience and proof that you can do it. How do you instill that belief in your teammates who have less experience than you do?
By going out there and showing it by example. It's easy to go out and just talk about it. Hey, I've done this. Well, this is what yeah, but you also have to go out and lead by example. Listen, and I'm one of the guys that if I'm gonna talk about it, I'm actually gonna do it as well. I think that's a great way to be able to, hold yourself accountable. You can't ask of your teammates or people to go into battle with you or do these things or whatever the case, make sacrifices, all those things if you're not gonna do it. And I think I've always kind of had that mentality, like whatever I ask of my guys, whatever I ask of my teammates, they can ask of me, and I'm gonna hold myself accountable anyways.
LeBron, on that note, on leadership, in the fourth quarter, you had a steal in what was a 9-point game. How much was that athleticism, being in the right place versus, I need to make a play at this point?
Well, they had numbers. I don't remember what happened. But I knew they had numbers, and I was crossing the floor, and I think Jaden McDaniels passed it to Ant at the time when he got it at half court. I think it was him, but I was coming across the floor, and obviously finding most dangerous is Ant. So I was able to kind of sneak in through the rear view, through the right side, and and was able to just kind of use my, I guess, athleticism and smarts or whatever the case may be, to kind of, if I wasn't able to steal it, at least I could make him change directions, and I was able to reach for the ball before he kind of, seen me in the blind spot, and I was able to steal it and go coast to coast it wasn't about the points. I think at that point it was about the momentum, that type of steal, that type of, play to be able to finish, in that moment, because they could have cut it to 6 or 4-point play. They could cut it to 5. So for us to push it back to a double-digit lead at that point with a little over 2 minutes, I think that was very key. Appreciate it, guys.
Luka, a lot of you guys told us like what you needed to do after game one, and it seems like you did that with the physicality and the effort on defense. Is there anything execution-wise that stood out to you on that end?
Are you talking about defense or offense?
Yeah, defense.
No, we did the same game plan. We didn't really change much. It was just the question of if we're going to be more physical or not, and I think we showed that. And we were there for 48 minutes. And we got big enough first quarter. I learned from the last game, and we just stick to it.
You of course have experience with Minnesota from last year. You know what it's like as they go throughout a series. Playing in that building? How do you feel like that energy is going to be as you go there 1-1?
Oh, it's going to be high. I remember that they have amazing fans and they're very loud. So from the first moment, they're gonna make at some point. They're gonna make a run, but we gotta stay together. It's us against the whole arena, so it's gonna be very tough. I experienced that, and it wasn't easy. So we gotta stay together no matter what.
Luka, they cut it to 11 in the third. You guys were able to push it right back. I think a 10-2 run. Then they got it to 9 in the fourth. Again, able to hold them off. What were those moments like for your group? How do you feel like you leaned on one another to make sure that it didn't get any closer?
Yeah, I mean, they have a great team, so at some point they're going to make a run. Just the matter how we respond, and we responded by being who we are. And I think, like I said, I think we responded very well. And from on, I mean, to win a game, scoring 13 points in the fourth quarter, it's not easy. It was from defense and then going on from there.
It seemed like the team as a whole did better with getting deeper into the paint, and that kind of helped get Minnesota into rotation. The kickouts were there. You kind of led the charge in that. Was that a talking point over the last couple of days, and how much was that emphasized coming into tonight?
I think when we touch the paint, a lot of great things happen. Gets them in the blender, and we just gotta do that more. Obviously we talk about it. Gotta touch the paint no matter what. So that's what we're trying to do more, and I think we can still do a lot more than that.
Hey, Luka. You obviously played a lot of playoff games before you even got to the NBA, but now that you've had enough NBA playoff games under your belt, what have you sort of learned about when to stay calm and still versus when to really panic, or not you ever panic, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not panic, but as me and Braun, leaders of the team, we got to keep the team together. Like I said, going into to Minnesota is going to be a war. The fans are going to be cheering like crazy. So no matter what, we can't panic. We got to stay together, and that's on me and Braun to keep the team together.
Luka, you guys only had 15 assists as a team in game one, 23 tonight. You, LeBron, and AR each had 5 or more. What did you see in terms of just the ball movement, the playmaking, and just the way that you guys were organized offensively? JJ had mentioned that as a big thing.
Yeah, I think like when he asked me about the paint, when we touch the paint, it's a lot of openings, and like I said, we got to do that more. And I think we shared the ball great today, and we got to keep doing that.
Luka, vimos esa energía, qué tan físicos fueron en el primer cuarto, incluso la energía de la gente, tu celebración. ¿Qué mensaje se mandó desde el inicio imponiendo ese ritmo de lo que es esta serie?
Sí, hemos empezado bien los dos partidos. En el primero no continuamos bien, pero creo que hoy hacemos un buen esfuerzo para estar en el partido. Hemos jugado muy duro, 48 minutos, y eso tenemos que seguir haciendo. Y bueno, la gente estuvo en el partido y eso lo agradezco mucho.
Luka, buenas noches. Primero que nada, felicitarte por la victoria. Ahora es ganar el próximo jueves por allá en Minnesota, arrebatarles ese juego que les arrebataron aquí en Los Ángeles, ¿verdad?
Sí, queremos jugar, ganar todos los partidos que podamos. Como hemos hablado, va a ser muy duro ahí. He jugado ahí, sé cómo es, y va a ser muy duro. Tenemos que estar juntos todos los 48 minutos.
Luka, tu experiencia en playoffs contra el equipo de Minnesota después de todos los juegos que has tenido contra ellos, como que ya te conocen, pero como que tú también los conoces a ellos, entonces se convierte en una lucha muy difícil para ti, pero también para ellos.
Sí, bueno, como hemos visto hoy, ha sido muy duro todo el partido de ambos equipos. pero ir ahí, como he dicho antes, es muy difícil jugar ahí. Tenemos que estar juntos y no soy solo yo, es todo el equipo, tenemos que estar juntos.
Hey, Luka, over here to your right. Right after the trade this year, you watched this team play a couple games, and it was at this stretch of the season where they're kind of like defensive-minded, sell out for every possession sort of mentality was really being forged. Do you remember when you saw guys like LeBron and Doe, but like Vanderbilt and Goodwin kind of flying around? Do you remember thinking about how hard the team you were joining was playing, and how valuable do you think that experience was tonight in a series where you're going to have to play that way?
Yeah, I think they were playing like that the way we played today. And I remember that we went on a 7 or 8 game-winning streak. We were playing this kind of defense. And when we play this kind of defense for 48 minutes, I mean, it gives us a really good chance to win.
And Luka, just to follow up on that defense, in the fourth quarter tonight, when they cut it to 9, Ant's dribbling down, and LeBron comes up and steals it. What did that kind of tell you about his effort in defensively?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great play. They were on a run, and, he made a great play. He made a winning play, and that's what I really appreciate of him.
Thanks, Luka.
Oh, thank you. Like that. 9 assists better?
Austin, pretty clearly the level of physicality went up for you guys. Was there anything defensively from an execution standpoint that you thought was different as well in Game 2 tonight?
No, I just thought we played harder. I spoke about how they play every single game, regular season, postseason. They play hard as shit, and if you don't meet that physicality with physicality, then you've seen the result. So that was an emphasis going into the night was play harder.
Some looks from 3 that you usually hit weren't going down. Did you adjust and think about getting yourself to the bucket, getting into some of that mid-range action to get yourself going after that?
No, I don't really ever just sit there and think about shots I'm going to take. If I'm open, I'm going to shoot it. If not, I'm going to try to make a play for a teammate. Unfortunately, I got 4 good looks to start the game. Let's say 3. One was not that good of a look. I shot it anyway, but just didn't make it. And if you start the game over, I have those 3 looks, 4 looks again. I'll probably shoot the bad one again too. So, I trust the work that I put in, and like I've said a million times, I just continue to try to play the game the right way.
Rui left the game early. Had to written first. There you go. Left the game early. Had to get fitted for a mask. He threw that mask off, ended up trying another one out, and he's still mixing it up in there, both offensively and defensively. What do you think of his effort in kind of maybe being an example of the type of physicality that you all were able to play with tonight?
Yeah, I thought Rui was big for us tonight. He didn't get that many shots, but the physicality that he played with on the defensive end, even after, get hit in the nose, whatever the situation is, he came back out and it, didn't look like, anything had happened other than him wearing a mask. He was out there, competing his ass off every single possession. He had a couple really, really good possessions guarding Julius Randle in that third, fourth quarter, where he just stood his ground, made him take tough shots, and didn't foul. So he was big for us tonight.
After Minnesota cut it to 11 midway through that third quarter, I think about midway through the third, JJ was pretty animated after he called timeout. What was the message to the in the huddle after that timeout was called, and what you make of the team's response? I think you guys went on a 9-0 run to get the lead back up to 20.
Well, you were asking what he was animated about?
What was he animated about? What was the message in the huddle?
Play better. I don't know if y'all have talked to him. If he wants to say what he said, he can. Just say he wasn't happy, and we responded well.
Austin, you took that big charge when they were in transition late. What did you see on that play? And just also LeBron had his steal with the finish in transition. I think it got to like 9 at that point. Just what did you see in terms of your guys' defensive playmaking in crunch time?
I thought it was huge because our offensive playmaking in the fourth quarter was not what it usually is. I made a couple really bad plays. We had a couple turnovers, and in those situations, you just gotta, lay it all out on the line and do whatever you can do to, help your team win. And in the playoffs, you like I've spoke about, you win on, the smallest margins, or you lose on the smallest margins. So a play like that, in that situation, everybody on our team's ready to, sacrifice their body to, get a win.
Austin, you guys, I think, counting the regular season, have played them now 6 times and have really struggled to score the basketball 4 of those times. What is it specifically about their defense? I know you guys have changed, but what they do defensively that's so hard to crack?
You can start with them having really good individual defenders. I know Jaden McDaniels is a problem on that end of the floor. Ant's a problem on that end of the floor. Nikhil. You could go through the whole line. Rudy does a good job protecting the paint. I don't know. I'll have to rewatch the game. I think that we got looks that we were happy with in a lot of situations. We just didn't make them. And but like I said, they're I think their identity is to play hard and be physical and do that on both ends of the floor. So they got a good group that guards hard, and we got to be more deliberate on the offensive end to get ourselves in good positions to be successful.
Around mid-December, you guys started to forge an identity where you guys played really hard too. Like, it became kind of a core principal part of what this team was, and it's faded at times down the stretch. But I guess, how comfortable do you think this group was having to win a game this way tonight, knowing that you guys have won games this way at times throughout the season?
Like you said, we've done it multiple times this year. I think you could go back and throughout the midst of the regular season, you lose a couple games, and then you might not be playing as good as you want offensively, defensively. And the one thing that you can always, go back to is competing as hard as you possibly can every possession. And I feel like that's what we did tonight from the start, to the end of the game. Every single possession, everybody was locked in. Everybody was willing to do whatever it took to, get this win. And it's got to be like that because they got a group of guys that's going to do that as well. So, we're comfortable with having to play like that.
Hey, Austin. JJ said that there were signs that tonight was going to be different. Obviously, you guys had a great practice. I'm curious, was there anything said in the group chat or anything in the locker room pregame, or what did you see that let you know that the team was going to come out with a requisite physicality tonight?
I think it just goes back to the other night when we basically got punked. Like, as you call a spade, they come in here game 1 and punked us, and you could tell from the energy in the locker room after the game that nobody was worried about what we have. We just had to go out there and like I said, compete every single possession. And like you said, we had a really good practice yesterday, and that kind of just ensured kind of where the headspace was, and the knowing of what we were going to have to do to come out here and get a win. Thank you.
Just to kind of follow up on that, you guys had 58 points in the first half, 36 in the second half. How much of that was just you felt like the shot quality was good and missing open looks?
I don't know what our turnover total. I know we had at least one shot clock violation there in the fourth, and I don't know what our turnover total was in the second half. But I can think of 5 or 6 plays. Bron twice from 4 feet in the paint, Rui at the rim. LeBron from the corner, Doe with a couple great looks from the corner. Again, we're going to live with that process and live with that result. And I think it's fair to say we won the game with our defense tonight, but our offense had a lot to do with that. Not allowing them to get out in transition, and when they did, as AR did late in the game, taking the charge, we were able to stop them from scoring or in some cases, stopped them from even getting a quick shot up, and then they had to run half-court offense. So I just think as much as it was the defense tonight, our offense actually helped quite a bit with some of the transition stuff.
JJ, Rui got, to your right, Rui got banged up, has to put a mask on. At one point, he throws the mask off, keeps competing, gets fit for another mask, and he's battling on the block. He's going into the lane on offense. He's trying to get offensive rebounds. Just how do you think his effort typified the shift you guys wanted to see in physicality tonight?
Yeah, he played like a warrior tonight. I'm sure that he's probably in the X-ray room right now. But he did a lot of really good things. I think when we watched the tape, there was a few plays that he made, just getting deflections and disrupting plays, leading to late shot clock possessions for them. Some plays at the rim, that don't show up in the box score, but he was awesome tonight.
JJ, minus some, I guess, anomaly minutes through 6 games against them this season, it's looked a lot like that in terms of low scoring and kind of a rock fight. Is it fair? Have you seen enough in the series to kind of anticipate it's going to look to some degree like this moving forwards?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you can sort of anticipate that, but we weren't ready for a rock fight to start game 1, so I've seen enough of these and been in enough of these that you can have these low-scoring games and sort of low offensive output games that are really physical, and all of a sudden somebody starts making threes. There's a few turnovers that leads to a high transition half, and somebody scores 120. That's just kind of how basketball works. Every game is a little different, but I think the mentality for both teams is to have a rock fight.
JJ, the timeout you were discussing a few minutes ago got a lot of play online because the TV captured some very colorful language, and obviously the guys can handle a few curse words, but
Yeah.
I'm just curious, when you do call a timeout, you do see that tide starting to turn, you want to make an impact to have the kind of run you guys had afterward. How do you sense when to really lay into them, and how do you sense when to not, so that you're not just always barking?
Yeah, I mean, I've done that in a game a handful of times in 6 preseason games, 82 regular season. It was at 90 games. I've done it a handful of times. It's not something that I want to do. It's something I'm more than comfortable doing. But I think tonight it was just more about getting that urgency button switched back on.
JJ, they were up by 9, fourth quarter. All of a sudden, LeBron makes a steal at a point. Describe what that was like from a coaching standpoint.
Yeah, again, I can't remember what exactly happened on the possession, but it felt like they potentially had a transition opportunity, a numbers advantage, just a huge play. And, they go down and score. All of a sudden, there's some momentum, 6-7 points, and LeBron just made a massive play. And it's not just him. I think our guys really just were all in tonight with their effort, and they battled, and you got to be proud of the group tonight.